What's up guys, it's Tatyana and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, it's going to be the 26 plus books that I want to read in 2026. At first, it started off with just 26 books, but there's so many series that I want to get into that's like, it's more than 26, it is, but that's cool, that's fine. And I do want to start off this video saying I am so far behind in like the popular books that people have already read. Like, majority of people have already read these books that I want to read because they've already been out for a while, but I haven't gotten into them at all. I haven't, but I want to try to dabble in these series just so I can know the hype, just know why people like these series so much and these books in general so much. And also, this video is not going to really be, this is the book I want to read and this is what I know about it and this is why I want to read it. It's not really going to be like that because I'm not that type of reader. I like going into books blind, so most of the time I don't even read the back. And most of the time, whenever I see people talk about books, I don't remember what they said. I don't. For the most part, the only thing I remember are tropes because I'm weird like that. Like if it's FWF, I'm gonna read it most likely. I don't care. I don't care about the plot. I hear the trope and I'm like, I want to read that. That's how my brain works. So I do not have a reason on why I want to read these books. I just know that in the time they sound interesting and I still want to read them because they even look interesting to me. I'm just going to show the books, and if I have something to say about them, I'll say something about them. But other than that, I'm just gonna see if anybody has anything to say in the comments about any books or series that I have on this list to tell me like why a book is good or why a book isn't good, you know? That's how we're gonna roll with it. Without further ado, let's get started to the first one. The first 2 books really is a part of a series. I did read the first one. It is Caught Up, and I did read the first one, Lights Out, and it was really good. I did like it, and I do know that the next 2 books of the series don't really go with the same people, but it's in the same world. So I kind of want to read Caught Up, and I also want to read Game On, which that one doesn't come out for another few months next year. So that one's new, but I do want to read those 2. Those 2 are like top of my list. I want to read Caught Up so bad because all I know about it is it's about I can't think of the main character from Lights Out. I've read it, like it's been a few months, but the FMC from Lights Out's uncle, or well, the FMC from Lights Out's cousin, his love story about like the mob and being all crazy and all that stuff. That's the only thing I know about Caught Up, and that's why I want to read it. And I don't know nothing about Game On, but it's in the same world, so I feel like I like it, so it's on the list. The next book that I want to read is Alchemy and a Cup of Tea. I do have the book actually, and I've been trying to read it, but I haven't really been in the mood. I love the series. I've read the whole series, and Alchemy and a Cup of Tea is the last book. It's by Rebecca Thorne. Like I said, I read the first 3 and I have the last one, but I just haven't been in the mood because, one, it's the end of a series, so it's not going to be giving us what we want to have. It just like ends off the storyline. That's all. And I want to read it because I know it's going to be good, but I have to be in the mood because right now I'm very much in the mood for like a rough book that's not like the ending of a series. Like I need the beginning, middle, juicy stuff of a series, and that's why I haven't finished reading this yet. The next book that I have is Just Friends by Haley Pham, and this one still doesn't come out for a while, but it's been a lot of mixed reviews about it since she talked about writing this book, and a few people have already gotten a few reads from it, but I feel like it'd be good. Like, I don't know, I like a cute, soft romance, and I feel like she's read enough books to be able to make a cute, soft romance, you know? I feel like that's a read that I wouldn't mind reading next year. Yeah. The next book that I have is Hear My Heart by Tay Monet, and I actually wanted to read this year, like this fall, but I didn't get around to it because I didn't really read as much. After I finished my Goodreads reading challenge, I just like stopped reading. Next year we are going to read all the books that we didn't read this year. That's the plan. The next book that I have on my list is Blood Moon by Brittany Lewis. And I did hear about this book too. It's supposed to be like, I think she said basically imagine Bonnie from Vampire Diaries, but she's the main character instead of the other ones. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the book, but that's what the author herself said. So that got me because I love Vampire Diaries and I always wanted better for Bonnie. So if you're putting it in that sense, it makes me want to read it more. The next book that I have is Where There's Smoke, and it's by Erica Alexander, and it is a FWF, and it just feels like it's gonna be a vibe. So yeah, it's on the list. I want to read it. The next book that I have is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and I've wanted to read this for a while now. I actually do have it in my, like, downloaded in my books, but I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, but I do want to try to read it this year. I completely forgot what it was about, but it's still something that I want to read, so it's gonna stay on the list until I finally read it. There's also another book by V. Schwab. I forgot what it was called, like something of Addie something. I think I don't have that on the list because I want to read at least one book by this author before I decide to read another one, you know, because I feel like this story is kind of out of my genre type. I just want to try different genres because I think this is like not historical fiction. It's not historical fiction, I don't think, but like I think it's in the sci-fi area. No, it's not. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking because I really don't know. I just know that it's not a romance. I don't think. No, it's not a romance. There's no way it's a romance. I don't know. The next series that I have on my list is Fourth Wing. Yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't read any of them, but I have all 3 books on the list because I've heard that it's so good. Like, when a book is so popular to a point where a bunch of people have read it and there is literally merch in bookstores about it, it has to be good. It has to be good, right? So I have all 3 books because I want to read all 3. I want to read the series. So it's pretty self-explanatory. If you've read it before, you're probably like, are you serious? You really didn't read this? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. The next book that I want to read next year is The 7 Daughters of Dupree. It's by Nikisha, I think that's how you say it. Nikisha Williams. And I didn't hear much about this book either. It's just something that it gives a vibe that I would love it. I would relate to it in some type of way. I don't know. It's just, once again, trying to get out of the genre that I'm so used to. I love me a good fantasy romance, like a romantasy. Like, that's me all the way. Romantasy and just like a soft romance. Well, not soft. Like a cutesy romance. So this is like getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, but it feels like I would like it. The next series that's like really popular as well is the Powerless series. Haven't read not one book, but I hear a lot of good things about it. I do. And I watch Cameron Kane. She's read it. She loves it. She really does love it. I don't know if she read the newest book, but I remember when she was talking about this book series, and I was like, yeah, I want to get into it. I never did. But next year I want to at least read the first book and see what they're giving me, you know, and see if the first book can persuade me enough to read the second, you know. Now, this next series is actually, it's been on my list since I've read ACOTAR. So I did finish reading ACOTAR, all the books, and we know that a new book is coming out. We don't know when, but that is coming out. But before that comes out, I want to try to read Throne of Glass series and the Crescent City series. Now, I don't know if that's going to be possible unless I literally buy every single audiobook so I can listen to it while I'm doing literally everything. But I'm down. I would do it. But I do want to read these because I loved ACOTAR so much that I feel like I love her writing, I guess I should say. I love Sarah J. Maas's writing because of how she portrayed it in that first series. So I do want to read Throne of Glass, and if you've read Throne of Glass or know any creators or even herself to tell you like what order to read these books, let me know in the comments because I really don't know. The next book that I have is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this was also on my list since this year. I just never got around to it, but I do want to read it because it's very intriguing to me. I also want to read Between Friends and Lovers. This feels like a messy drama romance, and I feel like I would really love it. Like this feels like a vibe. I feel like I would love it. Also, y'all, I'm sorry I'm not saying the authors' names, mostly because I don't want to butcher them, but I am putting every single book on the screen. So if you want to see the author and if you're interested about a book, I will have it on the screen because I don't want to butcher no names. I really don't. I'll show it, but I don't want to butcher no names, truly. The next book that I have on here is The Love Dare, and I don't know, it just looks like a vibe. That's it, that's all. It just looks like a vibe. This is another book that's been on my list this year that I've never gotten around to reading, but I really do want to. I don't remember what it was about, but I remember when I seen it, I read the synopsis of it on Goodreads, and I was like, wait, that seems like an interesting book. But it is called Sweetness in the Skin. Again, this is a book that I feel like would be relatable because I've read a good bit of books, but I want to dabble in Black authors because there's just sometimes where you want to read a book where you're like, dang, I feel you, girl. Like, I truly feel you. So this is one of the books that I feel like it would give me that feeling, and I want to read it. This is another one that's been on my list this year that I've never gotten around to, but it's called Not About a Boy. Looks like it's probably gonna put me in my feelings. If not, that's good because I don't like crying, but I feel like it's gonna be a good book. These next two books is by the same author, but I really want to read these because they've been on my list again for a while now and I've never gotten around to it. I actually have one of these downloaded. I probably actually have both of these downloaded, I don't remember, but it is Honey and Spice and Sweet Heat. Yeah, I don't know. Whoever has read them probably knows how good the books are, but I just get a vibe. I feel like they're just good. They're gonna speak to me in the way I need them to speak to me. So yeah, these are gonna have to be read at some point next year. Also do have this book called I'll Be Gone for Christmas, and again, this looks like a cutesy Christmassy book, so I do have it on my list. And another realistic type of book that I have on this list is The Girl Who Grew Big. I heard about it a lot. It got really popular this year, and it like to a point where I've seen it so much that I want to read it. So yes, this is on the list as well. Now these next three books are from the same author again. I originally wanted to read Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry, but if I like that book as much, I want to read the other two. But Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry is like the top one that I have wanted to read for the longest. This next book, I don't really have to say much. All you have to do is just look at the front and know exactly the vibes it's on. But the roommate risk, and like, it just looks like it'll be crazy, right? Yep. This next series, which I don't know if it's a series that like go together or if they're like standalones. They're kind of given standalones, but I want to read Before I Let Go. I think that's the first one. And I don't know. I would have to look it up. But Kennedy Ryan, she made these books. I want to read all three of them. I don't know if they're a series or if I have to read them in a certain order, but I do want to read all three of these books. And I do want to dabble in Kennedy Ryan because it seems like she has a good writing style. So there's also another series that she wrote. I don't remember what it's called. If I like these, I was going to dabble in those. Now this next book I wanted to read, that I found this book specifically on Pinterest whenever I was looking at different books. People like the way people do books on Pinterest is like they put the tropes around the books or whatever, and this was one of them that I did find on Pinterest that like sparked my interest. It sparked my interest. The Probability of Us, it just gives very cutesy, conflicting, like it's kind of like a subplot within the plot type of storyline, and I want to read it. I feel like it'd be really cute. This next book, it's not really that popular. I've heard about it and I've seen a few people talk about it, but it's not as popular, but I do want to read it. It's called Outdrawn. It's like a real cutesy, artsy FWF book that I want to get into. I feel like it'd be really cute. This next series is another big one. A lot of people have read it, The Naturals. I want to dabble. I want to see if the first book that looks good before I go into the second, but this is a series. It's on my list as well that I do want to read. I did want to also dabble in Elsie Silver stories, and the first ones that I like kind of caught my eye were the Wild Eyes one, the Rose Hill series, I guess it's called. There's like 4 books. First of all, I'm not even gonna lie, the covers is what got me. Look how cute they are. And I already wanted to dabble in Elsie Silver, so I was like, this might be the first series. So yes, this is on my list to try to dabble and see if I like next year. This next one, like this next series, it is a series, but for the most part, every book is standalone. But I'm pretty sure people have seen them in bookstores all the time and was like, what is this? Like, why are these books? But I want to read them because I feel like it'll just give a palate cleanser in between books. Like, for example, I needed a palate cleanser before I read A Court of Silver Flames because that's like, it's broken off. It stops talking about Feyre and her point of view and it goes into Nesta and her point of view. So I wanted like a kind of a palate cleanser just to get a new feel and like be like, okay, this is a completely new person, completely new character, but they're intertwined. So I feel like, and honestly, I don't know what the series is called, but it's this Big Behind series by Lori Gilmore. And I feel like these would be perfect, like palate cleanser books. I did start the Pumpkin Spice Cafe book. I didn't really get that far into it. I'm probably on chapter 3, honestly. So I do want to get into them because they do seem interesting. That one did start off pretty interesting to a point where I feel like I would like it. So that's a series that I feel like I would throw in between bigger, more complex series for palate cleansers. The next series that I want to read that's like kind of iffy is the Ruinous Love Trilogy, and I hear good things about it, but I hear a bunch of bad stuff about it too. People say that it's kind of written poorly, but I want to see for myself. I want to read the first book and see if I like it. Now this series I really haven't heard much about. I found it on my own on Goodreads and felt like it would be like a different vibe from like the regular fantasy that I read, you know. But it is Assistant to a Villain. It's a 3-part series, I think. I think there's 3 books, but I have all 3 on here because I do want to, again, dabble in the first one and see how much I like it before I dabble into the second. But this just seems like a different form of fantasy that I don't usually read. Now we're moving back to the romance nastiness, basically. But this series by this author named Liz, I don't know how to say her last name, but Mile High. It's a pretty popular book, and it is actually in a series. I don't know if they're standalone or they go all together, but I do have all of them on the list. I promise y'all I've read these books. I have. I've only read 2 of them though. I've only read the first 2, but I do want to reread them and read every single one. But it is the Hunger Games series. I'm most definitely late to the game. I haven't read any of the other ones, and I want to start over and just read the first to the last, just to refresh my memory and get caught up, because I don't want to be left out. The new book just came out and the new movie is about to come out, and I don't remember if I've watched all the movies either. I don't remember. I know I've watched them, but I don't remember. I really don't. So I feel like reading them would get me into the mood to want to rewatch and watch all of the movies. That's the plan. Oh yeah, this series, I like pretty covers. So this series, it has a pretty cover, and they had pretty special editions. I wouldn't buy special editions because they're too expensive, but Once Upon a Broken Heart, I've seen a bunch of people have it in their book collection. I don't know if it's good, that's why, or these are the type of people that just buy books just cuz, but I did see it like on people's bookshelves and stuff. I was like, oh, that looks like a cool little mini series to get into, something cute, little drama filled, but like a happily ever after at the end, possibly, just in case it becomes one of my favorite series. There's like probably one person that I've watched that said this is their favorite series ever, to a point where they have 3 copies of the same books because they're special editions. So I'm kind of going off of that. I hope it's really good. The next series is the Caravel series. I've heard a lot about this as well. This is a pretty decently popular one, so yes, it is on my list because I just want to know the hype, you know? I want to know the hype of like the big series that people always talk about. This next series is a bigger one. It's the Never After series. I do also own the Hooked book, like the first book, just so I can see if it's good. Haven't read it, but I do want to read just to see if I like it enough to buy the other books. I didn't even realize, but the Never After series is the last series and book of this video. So in total, I don't feel like counting. I don't. So I'm gonna put the number right here on the screen. This is the total of books that I have on my list for 2026. Now my question is, should I set that as my Goodreads challenge goal for next year? Because this year I did 15, but am I biting off more than I can chew if I add this number as my reading goals, my Goodreads reading goal? I don't know. I might not. I might not. But if y'all can talk me into it, I might. This will be it for this video. Look forward to the reading videos as well, the reading content, because I want to be able to balance both my crochet stuff and my working plus reading as well. Even if I have to buy audiobooks all the time to be able to read these books, I sure will, but I also want to document it so I can know how I felt in the moment of reading these books. So stay tuned if you guys are interested in any reading content. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to follow me on any socials, my Linktree is in the description. This is like the perfect time to end the video because it's starting to rain really hard and I have the door open for the natural light because it's kind of gloomy. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.